Imagine a plane that takes off from the United States, crosses continents, oceans, and war zones, and hits a target on the other side of the planet with pinpoint accuracy, all without ever landing. That plane exists. Its name is the B-2 Spirit, and it's much more than a war machine. It's a symbol of supremacy, strategy, and deadly silence. The B-2 is a stealthy strategic bomber with a range of over 7,000 miles. But what really sets it apart isn't just the distance it can travel, but the fact that it can stay in the air for more than 40 hours without ever touching the ground. How is that possible? To understand this feat, we need to go back to a recent mission. On June 22, 2025, 7 B-2s took part in a surgical operation against Iran. They took off from the United States with a clear objective: to eliminate fortified underground targets. Their weaponry, 14 GBU-57 bombs, known as bunker busters, each weighing more than 13 tons. These bombs were designed to pierce concrete, steel, and earth before exploding in the core of bunkers and nuclear facilities. But even with all this destructive power, there was an even greater challenge: flight time. The B-2s spent almost 2 days in the air, and the key to this was the tanker aircraft. During the mission, the bombers were refueled several times in the air, in an aerial ballet calculated to the millimeter. The aircraft responsible for this critical support were the KC-135 Stratotanker, the KC-10 Extender, and the more recent KC-46 Pegasus. Each of them had different capabilities, but all had one essential function: to keep the B-2 flying. The KC-135, with its 90 tons of fuel, was the pioneer. The more robust KC-10 carries up to 160 tons. The KC-46 brings an arsenal of onboard technology, including state-of-the-art sensors, encrypted communication systems, and greater autonomy, becoming the future of aerial refueling by 2027. But aerial refueling is not simple. It is a high-risk operation. It involves 2 giant aircraft flying at high altitudes, at impressive speeds, with centimeter-level precision. All of this in often hostile environments with limited visibility, turbulence, and a real risk of collision. The military personnel responsible for these maneuvers are trained to exhaustion. Every mistake can mean tragedy. There is no room for improvisation. Everything is coordinated in detail. The teams on the ground monitor in real time, ensuring that everything goes according to plan. And the pilots of the B-2 and the tanker planes operate as if they were part of the same organism. This type of logistics allows the United States to launch attacks directly from its territory, without having to use foreign bases. This ensures not only efficiency, but also surprise. No advance warning, no suspicious movements. The enemy only notices the attack when it is too late. The bombing happens, and the B-2 disappears over the horizon, as if it had never been there. This is the power of modern deterrence: to strike anywhere on the planet without asking permission, and without being seen. And this is just the beginning. The secret behind the B-2 Spirit's endurance isn't just its range or the amount of fuel it receives in the air. It's also in its interior, designed to withstand long journeys. Although its exterior may look like a technological bogeyman, inside the B-2 is a survival capsule carefully assembled to withstand the physical and psychological stress of more than 40 hours in the air. It has basic but essential infrastructure: a compact bathroom, a microwave, and even a small area where the pilots can take turns taking naps. Doesn't sound like much? Now imagine staying alert, with total concentration, monitoring navigation systems, sensors, and weather conditions while flying over potentially hostile areas. Any distraction could be fatal. The training of these pilots is not common. It involves hours and hours of simulators, endurance training, survival protocols, and decision-making under extreme pressure. It is not enough to know how to fly. You have to know how to mentally survive a mission that can last almost 2 days, without making mistakes, without comfort, with constant risk. The B-2 pilots are among the best trained in the world. But even with all the human capacity and the bomber's structure, no mission like this would happen without an absolutely precise and coordinated logistics network. We are talking about hundreds of professionals, from intelligence operators to ground engineers, mechanics, weapons specialists, and, of course, the crews of the tanker aircraft. They are the invisible heroes of this story. When the world sees a B-2 landing after 40 hours of flight, it is only seeing the tip of the iceberg. What lies behind it is a massive operation, spread across several parts of the world, with protocols synchronized to the second. For example, the mission of June 22, 2025, required tanker aircraft to be positioned at strategic points around the planet, some hovering for hours in the air just waiting for the exact moment to rendezvous with the bombers. With each refueling, there was a tense choreography of calculations of altitude, speed, time, and position, all in areas where a mistake could not only compromise the mission, but also cause an international tragedy. Furthermore, the B-2 does not fly alone in the strategic sense. It is constantly monitored by satellites, electronic support systems, reconnaissance drones, and onboard artificial intelligence that assists in critical decisions. The aircraft, although manned, operates in constant partnership with data received in real time, weather updates, intelligence reports, and thermal images of targets thousands of miles away. It is as if the pilot were being guided by an invisible war center that follows him second by second. And why all this? Because the B-2 is, above all, a tool of deterrence. It exists to show the world and its enemies that the United States can strike any target at any time with near-surgical precision and without being detected. The mere fact that a B-2 takes off is already a political signal, a veiled threat. It does not need to attack. It just needs to exist. Its presence is enough to alter decisions, strategies, and even treaties. As it flies, the B-2 doesn't just carry bombs. It carries a clear message. No one is out of reach. And even if you're holed up in a bunker 200 feet underground, that might not be enough. Because there's a ghost in the sky. Invisible, silent, lethal. The B-2 Spirit is not only the most expensive bomber in history, it is the most strategic. Estimated to cost more than $2 billion per unit, it represents a calculated investment in power, stealth, and global reach. And the reason it remains relevant even decades after its creation is its ability to remain invisible, not just to radar but also to the public eye. It takes off, performs its mission, and returns without fanfare, without leaving a trace. It is the pinnacle of modern warfare, striking without being seen, influencing without being seen. But the success of a 40-hour mission isn't measured by bombs dropped or targets destroyed. It's measured by how precisely everything works. From the moment the engines fire at the military base on American soil to the last second of the flight, everything follows a strict schedule. Satellites in high orbit monitor weather conditions around the globe. Unmanned drones ply their trade, scanning for threats. Command centers analyze every inch of the trajectory. Every change in route, altitude, or refueling time can mean the success or failure of the mission. There's no room for error. During an operation, B-2 pilots face not only physical fatigue, but also mental exhaustion. The cockpit, even with automated controls, demands constant vigilance. It is an invisible marathon, where every second matters. That is why, despite all the technology on board, the human factor remains essential. There are people inside that flying shadow, keeping their minds steady, their eyes alert, and their fingers ready to make decisions that can change the course of a war. And there's a detail that few people know about. While most military aircraft rely on bases close to the battlefield, the B-2 can operate without any foreign infrastructure. This means that the United States can launch a strategic strike mission without asking anyone's permission, without relying on political agreements, without the risk of information leaks. They take off from home, do what they have to do, and come back in silence. This gives the United States a kind of freedom that no other country has, a strategic advantage that goes far beyond the military realm. This freedom, however, is only possible thanks to the existence of a complex and invisible support network, where every cog, no matter how small, is vital. The mechanic who adjusts the refueling nozzle, the radar operator who calculates the approach, the officer who reviews the weather data, the analyst who interprets satellite images, the driver who takes the pilots to the runway. They are all part of a machine that keeps the B-2 in the air. That is why when we talk about the B-2 Spirit, we are not just talking about an aircraft. We are talking about a force, concept, presence. The B-2 is a reminder that modern warfare is not just about tanks and soldiers in the field. It's about stealth, range, precision, and, above all, strategic will. And when it appears in the sky, even if you can't see it, it's good to know it's seen you. In the end, the B-2 is not just a bomber. It is a ghost designed to make a single sound, the silence before destruction. And that silence echoes far and wide, far beyond the reach of radar. It represents the ultimate in the art of intimidation, action, and disappearance. That is why the B-2 does not need to show off. Its mere existence is enough to change the behavior of entire nations. He is the embodiment of invisible power, the pinnacle of strategic deterrence, a shadow with wings, a weapon that never sleeps.